Hey, welcome into the Stinkin podcast alongside Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth, live from New York City, where I'm packing up my apartment because I got fired, and I'm heading back to Denver, Colorado. So, anyhow, good to be with you guys. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. I tell you what, just taking off, man. Subscriptions, please keep subscribing and sharing with all your friends and family, man. We appreciate. We're trying to grow this thing so we can become a national force. So anyhow, Mike, how are you, buddy?
Mark, I always love your self-deprecating humor. So that's a great thing to have whenever you deal with a little adversity. Good lesson for everybody out there. Be able to take on life with a smile. But I'll tell you, smiling today. Daniel Jones, we got some breaking news to react to here on the podcast as the Colts have named Daniel Jones the starting quarterback. By the way, this isn't just for the start of the season. Coach Shane Stinkin saying this is a full season move. So Daniel Jones, the starter in Indianapolis, not the former 4th overall pick in Anthony Richardson. This move may surprise some people, but I don't think it surprises you.
Yeah, what have we learned? Like, what have we learned in Indianapolis? Like, because a guy can run fast, because a guy can jump high, because he's got a great vertical jump, because he can bench press 225 a lot, because, you know, he's athletic and he fits, the broad jump. Woo! The broad jump. This guy really, his hands were 9.5 inches, because of all the garbage that we try to make, like, become your football acumen, if you will, or your football, none of that stuff has anything to do with whether you're a good football player or not. So when we take a quarterback and try to say, hey man, let's take an athlete and make him a quarterback. Let's take somebody who can run fast and jump high and do all those things and say, man, that guy is amazing. Now let's make him our quarterback. That doesn't work. Dude, quarterbacking is a skill unto its own, and you have to be able to process information, read that information, and make a decision based upon that information in a split second. You have to understand formations, personnel groupings, more importantly, what the defense is doing and who we're attacking in that defense. It is so much more than athleticism, but football is so much more than athleticism. So when I see a team go, let's just draft a great athlete and let's try to make him a football player, that team doesn't understand how football works. And I'm surprised that Indianapolis made this move. What was Anthony Richardson, the 4th overall player taken in the draft? And he hasn't amounted to a squirt of piss yet. And listen, man, it's not his fault. They overdrafted a guy that was an exceptional athlete. And I understand that he was an exceptional athlete. He wasn't a good quarterback coming out. And what makes you think that all of a sudden he's going to develop into a good quarterback is beyond me. Now, right now, you've really chosen, let's face it, and I don't mean to be crass or rude, but let me be crass and rude. You've chosen between a turd sandwich and a turd sandwich with sprinkles on it. They both taste like shit. They do. And so Daniel Jones has proven he was the 6th overall player taken. Yeah. And he's proven that he hasn't been able to play in this league at a high enough level. Remember, when they decided in New York to pay him, it was based on, the playoff season that he was able to drive them toward, right? Or the playoff season that he had in what, was it 2022 when he took the Giants to the playoffs? And in that season, he had 3,200 yards passing. He had 15, his breakout season. Daniel Jones has figured it out. He had 15 TD passes versus 5 interceptions. So in your breakout season, you've put up a whopping 15 TD passes in a league that basically bends every rule to have success in the passing game. So listen, one thing I like about Shane Steichen, I've always liked Shane. Shane is really good about simplifying things for the quarterback, giving the quarterback a look and a if here, then there, if this, then that, like basically going through your progression saying, hey man, And then full field reads for him. He'll create plays that, hey, it doesn't matter if it's cover 3, cover 1, cover 2, or cover 4, cover 6. Doesn't matter. This is how you read it. 1, 2, 3. Throw it to the open guy. Yeah. And so he'll do a lot of that stuff that I think makes it palatable for quarterbacks. But the bottom line for me, Mike, is when Daniel Jones had that success with the New York Giants and took them to the playoffs, albeit 3,200 yards, 15 TDs, 5 interceptions, there was a lot of quarterback run involved in that. And I think that's what Indianapolis is going to have to do. Create a system that takes advantage of the athleticism that Daniel Jones possesses, the RPO, the zone read stuff, the quarterback-derived plays. You're going to have to do that if you're Indianapolis to have the most amount of success for Daniel Jones as a quarterback.
So this is the big question then that I think Colts fans are asking. He was a bust with the Giants, but can he have a second act? Can he have a renaissance in his career like a Sam Darnold, like a Baker Mayfield? Is that a possibility for Daniel Jones?
Yeah, but I think you're going to have to do it in a way that he's going to have success doing it. Like I said, with the RPOs, with the zone read running game, with the quarterback-derived run plays. I think that's got to become a big part of the offense. And obviously that's in there because they had to do that with Anthony Richardson. Like one of the things that was the complaint about Daniel Jones when he was with the Giants, and you know, when he was playing quarterback there before they even went to, it was back in the Joe Judge era of the Giants, which, you know, most Giant fans would like to forget about that era. Mm-hmm. But one of the complaints was like he just locks into a guy and he is going to throw it to that guy regardless, come hell or high water.
The stripe.
Right. Yeah. And that was what the Giants had told me. He just red stripes so many guys. And if you look at the Giants helmet, you know, there's one red stripe down the middle, meaning once he locks in, he's on that guy, red stripe. And it creates an opportunity for defensive backs and the defensive personnel to essentially go, all right, let me get a jump on the ball. So I'm early on my break. I'm early to the ball. And when I'm early to the ball, well, that gives me the opportunity to create interceptions, to create big time plays for my defense, to get PBUs, pass breakups. So that was the big issue. Now, when all of a sudden you eliminate that, you create one read options off your RPO game, right? You're not like it's one guy. So you're going bam, fake the run, get up, boom, right? And you're affecting one dude. So in the RPO game, what you're really affecting, Mike, is you're affecting a second level defender. So you're taking one guy and saying, hey, we're going to fake the handoff, right? And in RPO, we're reading that guy. So if that guy holds back in an RPO, that second level defender, so call him a linebacker or a safety. If he sits back, what do? We hand the ball off, right? Because the edge is blocked, everything is blocked. We hand the ball off and we say, hey, man, we're going to get enough yardage to when that guy makes a tackle, Mike, we're still getting 5 or 6 yards. Now, if that guy steps up, that second level defender, now we pull it and we run like a glance behind him, like a 6-step slant. So now it's all of a sudden fake. We eyeball him. He steps up on that fake pull, whoop, yep. And that's all you're really reading. The difference between RPO and zone read, we're affecting a guy on the line of scrimmage. So a defensive end, for instance, if we fake that handoff and the defensive end plays out, he's basically just skating. We hand the ball off. We're not blocking him, right? If that defensive end pinches down, we pull the ball, and then the quarterback keeps the ball. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference between a zone read where the quarterback's reading a defensive end or a defensive lineman. That's zone read. And RPO, he's reading a second-level defender, a safety, or a linebacker. So that's kind of how that's run, the difference between those two. And for a quarterback, there's no real read there. You're reading the defensive player, but you're throwing, it's a one route option, if you will.
So it didn't work out for Daniel Jones with the Giants. The Giants fans are now hoping that Jackson Dart can be that guy. And so far, through the first couple of preseason games, he's looked really good enough to start the season ahead of Russell Wilson.
I said it months ago, Mike. months ago, and Giant fans were, oh, come on, stop it. We've got to play our veteran quarterback for the first several weeks of the season, or at least halfway through the season, because Brian Daboll needs to win to retain his job. The best way to retain your job, if you're Brian Daboll, is to have a young guy that you believed in, that you drafted ahead of a guy that you brought in Shedeur Sanders, who's in Cleveland now, and said, this guy aced the test. This guy was my handpicked guy, my handpicked selection, who has been lights out in preseason. I mean, absolutely lights out in preseason. And I understand what people say. Well, it's preseason. What do I always tell you about preseason, Mike? It don't count, but it does matter. Preseason don't count, but it does matter. It matters. And when you look at the Giants, you look at the division they play in. Yeah, there are question marks. Yeah, the Giants are probably predicted to be in fourth place in most, in most publications and most national media surveys. But you look at the Giants right now, hey, man, they are loaded on defense.
Yep.
They are a big-time defensive unit. So if you truly want to do what's best for the franchise, in my mind, what's best for the franchise is not Russell Wilson. Because you know what Russell Wilson is. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, he throws a great deep ball. Ain't no question. He throws a great deep ball.
Threw a beautiful one the other night.
80 yards.
Gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous. You get one-on-one off play pass, man, he'll do that all day long. But there are limitations within his game. And I think one of the biggest things, Mike, I was talking to Sean Payton the other day, not about Russell Wilson, just about quarterback sacks, because Sean and I are on the same page. And I said this a long time ago, and Sean is completely on board with this. The quarterback sack has become more of a quarterback-driven statistic than it is actually a offensive line-driven statistic. I would say it's more of a play caller statistic as well than it is an offensive line statistic. And so I just happened to be talking to him. I was at training camp. I was walking around with him for an hour during practice and got made fun of a lot for doing that. Stokely and I talked to him for a while. Then Stokely came into the conversation because Sean wanted to talk to Stokely. And then we walked around. He didn't want to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, he was like, I don't want to talk to the guy with the big head. I just want to talk to you and Stokely football players. So, but one of the things he talked to me about during that time is he did an intensive. This is interesting. So he had the Broncos number nerds, all the guys up there in the analytics department that, E equals MC squared, those guys. He had those guys crunch a bunch of numbers and on two different topics. So he said, one, has anybody that has taken a ton of sacks in the college game come to the NFL and not repeated it? Cleaned up their sacks, cleaned up that part of their game. And they did this intensive study, and the number crunching department of the Denver Broncos could never find a guy in NFL history that took a lot of sacks in college that didn't take a lot of sacks in the NFL. And then he had them also run the numbers on fumbles. Has there ever been a guy that played running back in college that fumbled the ball a lot that was able to clean that up in the professional game? And interestingly enough, they could not find a quarterback that took a lot of sacks in college that did not take a lot of sacks in the NFL. On the opposite end of the spectrum, they found plenty of running backs who fumbled the ball a lot in the college game who didn't fumble in the NFL because it was coached out of them. And I just found that very, very interesting. So the bottom line for me, going back to the Giants, is I said this months ago, Mike, is I would move on from Russell Wilson right away. Because the best way to save your job and the best way to save the Giants going forward is finding your quarterback, believing in that guy, and relying on your defense early, relying on some growing pains to be overcome by that stellar defense, running the ball, setting up your play action, and playing your young quarterback. What do you, honestly, in New York, what are you going to find out about Russell Wilson that you don't already know?
Right.
He doesn't throw the ball very well in the middle of the field. He basically throws outside the numbers and the deep ball. That's what he does. And he takes a ton of sacks. A ton of sacks. And so, they found that out in Pittsburgh. I still am looking for apologies from the Pittsburgh Steelers fans. You guys can come right on here, apologize to me. This is what I want you to say. Stink, you were right. We were wrong. You are smart. We are dumb. You are skinny. We are fat. And we are sick about it. That's what I want you to write in the comment section on this YouTube page. When you do that, you'll be welcomed back with open arms.
So, yeah, you mentioned Giants passing on Shedeur Sanders. Some news coming out of Cleveland. Some of it not surprising, some of it maybe a little surprising because you've got Joe Flacco named the week 1 starter. We all thought that would be the case, no matter who was going to be the rookie or young quarterback in waiting. But now seem to be reports that they may keep all 4 quarterbacks, which I suppose since you've had a number of these quarterbacks hurt during the preseason, you haven't had a chance to get a long look at Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Kenny Pickett. I guess probably it makes sense at the start. Carry all 4, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, you look at kind of where they are. Like, we know that Joe Flacco ain't the long-term answer. Mm-hmm. And we're pretty sure that Kenny Pickett isn't the long-term answer either. And we don't really know about Gabriel or Shedeur. We think they might be good, but we don't know. And again, it's preseason. I get that. But the bottom line is, when you have somebody that you look at and you say to yourself, man, this guy might be a real player eventually, and you're the Cleveland Browns and you stink, why wouldn't you keep 4?
Right.
You think one extra guy on your roster that plays backup linebacker that can run down on kickoff cover is going to make the difference between you being in the playoffs in the AFC North and you not being in the playoffs? You're not in the playoffs. You're not close to being a playoff caliber team. So why not keep a guy? Hey, in New England, and I'm not comparing Shedeur Sanders to Tom Brady. I'm not doing that, so don't accuse me of that. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line, Tom Brady had something in him that they recognized in New England, and they were like, listen, man, I know he's the 4th quarterback overall, but there's something about this guy. Yep. Let's just keep him. And it turned out to be the best decision in the history of the New England Patriots, because that guy went on to be the greatest quarterback to ever play in the National Football League. And I'm not saying or comparing Shedeur Sanders to him, but based on the fact that you're in the NFC or the AFC North and you've got zero chance of usurping Baltimore or Pittsburgh in that division, or even Cincinnati in that division, the bottom line is it just makes the most sense to keep as much competition as possible moving forward in the quarterback room.
Well, there you go, folks. Shedeur Sanders is going to be the next Tom Brady. So says Mark Schlereth. Let's get that thing going viral.
By the way, I got to stop you for a second.
Yeah.
The Dillon Gabriel, some guys are competitors. Some guys are entertainers. Some guys are competitors.
Was he talking to Shedeur? Was he talking about Shedeur?
I don't think so. I think there's such a unique perspective or a unique situation when you're competing in the NFL. And I don't know, maybe it's different in a quarterback room, but I've competed for my job throughout my whole career. And even though you're competing with a guy, there isn't necessarily animosity there. There isn't hatred. There is this meritocracy that you understand exists because it's been a part of what you do your whole life, and you're just ready to compete. And when Dillon Gabriel came out and explained himself, like, I'm talking about the media or the entertainers, we're competing. Like, I buy that explanation. I don't think in the midst of playing a game and being interviewed, you're sitting there thinking about, the competition that's internally going on between you and Shedeur, and you're thinking my teammate is more about the sizzle and I'm more about the steak. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I thought that was much to do about nothing. I thought Dylan Gabriel was telling you exactly the way it is, man. I'm competing my ass off here. May the best man win, and I've got the back of my teammates. So I don't buy the whole conspiracy theorist plan at all when it comes to Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I mean, that would be one of those things. If you said that and you meant it, boy, that calls into question your judgment, right? And if this is all about showing that you're the right guy to be the guy in Cleveland, and you aren't smart enough to understand that if you put that out there, people aren't going to jump on it, well, then I got to question your decision-making. So I'll give Gabriel the benefit of the doubt that he did not have Shedeur Sanders in mind when he made that comment. Now, speaking of things going viral, you got a ton of feedback on the Cowboys are the Jacksonville Jaguars just with a better marketing plan comment. What has the response been like, Stink?
I think most people are on the same page. Like I just think most people feel that way. And even their owner Jerry Jones said, "Hey man, we're a soap opera." Well, self-inflicted. You're right. You're 100% right. You are a soap opera. And then Michael Parsons being upset and actually requesting a trade. There's a lot of that goes on, and it just blows me away that Micah Parsons has been a star in this league since the day he walked in, and that you don't tie that guy up early, that you allow that soap opera to continue as an organization, just absolutely blows me away, Mike. And so, he's disgruntled. Do I think he's leaving Dallas? No. Do I think they're going to get him signed? Yes. But again, Jerry Jones hamstrings the Dallas Cowboys. And I really believe the Dallas Cowboys have an opportunity to compete within that division. Listen, the Commanders were a great story last year. And the Commanders have gone after and solidified their left tackle position and some players on the defensive side of the ball. And, they've done these things, and I think they're great moves. They still have this Terry McLaurin situation going on where Scary Terry's upset. He wants out and all these different things. But come on, they won how many one-possession games? They won like 9. They won the last drive of the game several times. They had the Hail Mary against Chicago. Like, some of those are not going to go your way. So I think this is an opportunity for the Dallas Cowboys to make a bit of a move, Mike, and potentially compete for a playoff spot. Now, once they get in the playoffs, they're going to take a shit in their helmet like they always do. But the bottom line is you've got an opportunity to be a playoff team. And I believe they're there. I believe they've got, even with Washington, because I think Philly's the class. I think Washington is really good. I think they'll fall back a little bit. But I think you could easily see, like in the AFC West last year, in the NFC East, you could easily see 3 teams coming out of the NFC East like it was in the AFC West last year to go to the playoffs. But you're not going without Micah Parsons being signed.
You love taking your gratuitous shots at the Cowboys. You also love taking your shots when it's given to you at the Cincinnati Bengals, which you were texting with me last night during the Bengals preseason game. Already, Bengals going to Bengal?
Dude, Washington on the first couple drives with Jaden Daniels went through them like shit through a goose. I mean, it was just like, you've been around the pond, like on a par 4 where you got to hit it short of the pond and you got to go over the pond, and you get next to the pond and there's nothing but shit, like goose shit all over the place. Like that's how that offense, that running game, they had 4 plays, their first 4 plays, netted them 74 yards, all 4 of them rushing plays, and a touchdown against the Bengals defense. Midseason form, Bengals, midseason form. And then the next drive, same damn thing. Just right through the Bengals. Now, the Bengals came back and won, but one of the interesting things that I was listening to on the broadcast, Mike, and, it was Troy and Joe, and I love those guys, and they were talking about the inadequacies of the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line and giving up sacks, and Joe Burrow was under some duress. And goes back to the beginning conversation that we had about protection. Listen, man, you can sit there and blame the offensive line, but if you're going to line up in shotgun 95% of the time, and you're not going to create a power run game, and you think it's all about wide receivers as an offense, guess what's going to happen to your quarterback? He's going to get the absolute shit beat out of him. And I wouldn't I feel bad for Joe Burrow because I think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the National Football League. I think that dude is all balls. And I think that dude gets beat up. And the fact is, they haven't been to the playoffs 2 years in a row with arguably the best quarterback in football on their roster. They have missed it 2 years in a row. At what point are they going to realize that it's not about throwing the ball 76% of the time? It's not about outscoring teams. It's about developing a complete offense. And protection comes down to play calling, personnel, play calling, how you go about it, and running the football. And when you're in gun all the time, Mike, you eliminate 40% of what you can run. You give the defense a tell of what you're going to run. So if you're in gun near, running back, tight end on, tight end on the right side, running back on the right side, quarterback in the middle, you're going to run weak. You're going to run belly. If you're in gun far, tight end on the right side, running back on the left side, quarterback in the middle, you're going to run strong, tight zone. You can't run wide zone because the quarterback cuts you off. So it's a mid-zone play, either right or left. So if you're telling me, based on the running back's alignment, what the possibility of run is, how successful are you going to be? And how's play action work in that? Mm-hmm. I'll give you a clue. Talk to Peyton Manning. I coached a little league team with Peyton Manning. One of the things he talks about all the time, you want to be great in play action, quarterback has got to turn his back to the defense. Yep. And then you got to pick it back up when you flip your head around. But if you really want to be good and you really want to create big plays in the passing game, off play action, you got to have the balls to turn your back to the defense. You know what you can't do when you run everything out of shotgun in play action? You can't turn your back to the defense. You don't. And therefore, the defense can play high to low. Their second-level defenders can get more depth off the ball and eliminate the intermediate routes based on positioning. That's the Cincinnati Bengals. I've told you this before. I'll tell it to you again. I hate the way they're structured. I don't believe in the way they're structured. And therefore, they are not a playoff team. They won't go to the playoffs again this year. Mark it down right here on the Stinkin Truth podcast.
All right. Tough talk from Mark Schlereth. There you go.
It's going to be Baltimore. It's going to be the Steelers. Then it's going to be the Bengals. And somewhere down there on the bottom, it's going to be the Browns. But they'll have 4 quarterbacks, so that's good. Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth podcast.
Tom Brady, Shedeur Sanders, the next Tom Brady. Mark said so.
For everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth podcast, that's Mike. I am Mark. Hey, next week, we're going to start 3 a week, guys. So stay tuned with us. It's going to be awesome. Bringing you a lot of good stuff, a lot of new stuff right here on the Stinkin Truth. For Mike, I am Mark. Thank you, guys. We'll be with you later on the week.